Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live with the Preppers, me and Brian, because you can't get enough of us on just Sundays. So somebody requested a live. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, good, mate. Sorry about the late
Made it
show.
by skinnier tea. I was literally about to start and thought he'll just join during, and I was going to pad for time, but you got there just on the minute.
In my defence, getting a quote for Windows should be just getting a quote, not an hour and a half of crap. And I still haven't got a quote. I could just say I need to go.
Yeah, they give you the hard sell before they give you the price tag.
So they want a Teams call. And then the woman phoned me from outside the house. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm here now. It's like, yeah, that's fine. You're not getting in. So should I go back to their home and Teams call me? And then it was an hour and a half of how their Windows were better than everybody else's. I still haven't got a fucking quote.
Wow.
Never even got to the dimension stage. And you know the one where you're trying not to be rude, and I've just thought, bugger it, I'm going to be rude. I need to go. I'll text you the sizes.
Yeah, Jesus. Well, that would have unsold it for me right there. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hopefully you're having a better evening than Brian's having fighting window people. Palace Hunter was first in, saying Hollywood James Woods. We'll mention that later on. Sapper Prepper Polonium's in the house. Zebra Prep. I'm here, apparently. Brown Coat Prepper UK is in the house. All these green members, love to see you. Hungry Tourist is there. NJ660. Quiet Prepper 75. XP, Philip Hull, and Charlie Vokins is there. So, I won't get to all your comments as usual. I never can. So if I miss you, I do apologize. Block capitals if it's a question, or you've got the option of the super chats and stuff like that. This was requested, Brian. Somebody said we need to talk about the fires in LA. How much have you seen of it so far? I assume you've kept up with the mainstream media.
I've been watching it, and I've been watching a few things other preppers have been doing on YouTube, and more so for the live side, TikTok. So yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it.
Yeah,
interesting.
It is, because what I find interesting is how people are responding to things like this. The first thing I want to mention is somebody said something in here. Can I see it? I'm sure it was Stuart. There we go. Number one lesson from LA fires is you'll get only thoughts and prayers from your government. Not true. Not true. Brian, your entire house is burnt down. Your car collection's gone. Everything's crisp. You stood there with your family in tattered clothes. But don't worry. You've got a check for $770 off the US government.
Gee whiz, however will I spend it?
To help with immediate needs, which is £630 in real money.
Woohoo, kids, we're getting a tent in Mickey D's.
It feels a bit lackluster, but I mean, what I'm hearing a lot of people saying, oh, it's all the posh houses, they can just afford to build another one. I'm not sure that's the right attitude either, though, right?
No, I mean, I think what they should be looking at is the big promises from big government saying, don't worry, we'll be there when we need you, when you need us. Even the fire hydrants didn't work.
Yeah. That's concerning.
That's scary shit.
Yeah. Have they given an excuse or reason for that yet?
Oh, there'll be some. It's California. There'll be something about how it was bad for some rare turtle or spider, and as such, it identified as a teapot, so they couldn't possibly soak it without asking it first.
I mean, if you're like an alien looking down on this planet and there's a huge fire right next to this giant body of water, surely you think.
See, if there was an alien looking down at this planet right now, they'd probably go, do you know what? Fuck it, just let it burn.
Yeah. We keep putting it out there, keep relighting it.
Last time we tried the flood, this time we'll just let it go.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's seen stuff, but let's have a quick look at the some of the stuff going on. I don't think you'll get audio, so I'm just going to put this on. This is like a tornado of, it's what you'd call like a dirt devil, where it's the dust whipping up usually like this, and it looks like a mini tornado. But obviously, a fire one could be quite scary. That wouldn't be something you'd want to touch.
Wow.
Yeah. 37,000 plus acres burnt, 6 wildfires at the moment. So that's absolutely insane. Why have they not got it under? Like, I mean, I don't want to sound like completely oblivious to how difficult these things are. I've seen wildfires, only small ones, but when we've had them on the moors here, surely they've got the resources to put a stop to this by now. How is this still going on?
I think they've probably got the resources, but didn't plan for how quickly. You've probably got a number of factors at play here. They're not taking care of housekeeping. So they're not clearing dead foliage properly, and that's the next thing. That has been spoken about. Infrastructure failed. They couldn't put the fires out. And they maybe don't have enough firefighters to do the job. The roads could be choked with they're telling everybody to evacuate because of the impending fires. The same roads people will be panicking and trying to get out on will be the same roads the firefighters are trying to get in.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue. But surely they can do like plane drops with like the mass water drops that they do on forest fires.
They're
and
doing
stuff
that though. That's the thing. They're doing that. But then again, if you've got a dry climate and you're dropping 350 tons of water and it spreads out and it puts that out, it won't take that long before it gets dried either by the nearby fires or the fact that it's a bright sunny day, and then it starts to profligate right through the valley again.
Yeah. It's scary. I wonder how many preppers were in the lot that was burnt to a crisp. It feels like the houses of that size, they wouldn't be bug out preppers anyway. They'd probably still in a cellar somewhere under that burnt rubble, right?
Can you imagine how soulless? I'm laughing. It's no funny. I don't mean it like that. But you've gathered all your tins of free Bentos, right? And you're sitting in the bunker. There's racks of guns all over the place because it's the States. The firewall's coming towards you, and you're sitting there with your hose. Don't worry. We've prepared for this. We've got all these hoses. You turn the tap and just goes, nothing comes out. That's really bad.
It is, and it shows how much you could, if you haven't prepped for certain scenarios, how disastrous that could be. But everyone should be prepped. I mean, the answer to this, the learning curve, is you should always have that bug out bag, even if you think you're going to bug in any situation, right? That's got to be.
That's a ringing indictment for why you need the bug out bag. That scenario in itself is the reason. Even if it's just your passports, some documentation like on your USB stick, like you've spoken about, it's what you need. Your insurance documents.
You mean the Survivor USB stick? Complete.
That's the one your butt plug.
Yeah, no, it is a great one, and having all that on hand, because it's the people that like. Did you see the James Woods thing that somebody mentioned?
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, this is burning around you. You get out, right? I mean, that's the main goal. You would get out, right? That's the point, right? So this is James Woods. Again, I don't think the sound comes through here, but this is from where he lives in Hollywood on top, and he's posting on social media that it's a miracle it didn't touch me, and all his family's there, and they're helping put out little bits of fires on the side of the hill. Why is he not evacuated? This is the worst kind of advertisement for anyone. Trust in faith. But
look at the little red buckets. I mean, against nature, a driving wind and a fire, you've got your little red bucket. That's an optimist.
Can get anything done with a little red bucket. But all the devastation surrounding him.
The only reason he's still alive is because he's elevation in the wind direction. Other than that, he'd be dead. But
why wouldn't you evacuate if it's the evacuation warnings? Do you think preppers would listen to that?
You've heard this one a million times. The guy's drowning. Somebody gets past in a boat. Jump in. No, God will save me. Somebody gets past, right? And then he drowns. It's like, God, why didn't you save me? I sent this guy, I sent that guy, and that guy. Right? That is the attitude a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's scary. Zebra Prep, I was wondering why they couldn't use salt water. I assume they are with the airdrops, right? Usually it's load in the sea and drop it over the forest fires.
Honestly, I have no idea.
I can't see a reason they wouldn't, to be fair. 3 3 troops 6-5. Brian's house will burn down if his crazy old next door neighbor leaves his gas fires on and falls asleep drunk. Is this your next door neighbor?
That's my brother. Let's put that in.
All right, okay, it's not your neighbor.
No, he'll be too pissed, mate. He's 70, 74, 75. He's got a gas fire in his living room, a log burner, and he's pissed all the time. So yeah, I'll probably have my own fire at some point.
Building back up today with the 70-mile-an-hour winds, no insurance, as even the insurance companies declared the state a lack of land management and accelerated risks. Yeah, I've heard this as well. None of these guys have insurance. They couldn't get insurance.
That's scary.
That's devastating. That is life devastating, right? But how, right, in that situation, you're there. How could you potentially prep for this? Apart from the bug out bag to get the hell out of Dodge, is there any way you could defend your property against something like this?
If you had the money and the foresight, I mean, to be honest, the best option is always going to be not be there, get out. But if you were deep enough and you had an oxygen supply, then you could possibly outlive the fire. You know, if you had some sort of bunker stroke safe room, but you'd have to have the oxygen supply in case. You need to be able to shut off the vents. So would you want to risk being in a concrete cage on the off chance that it did work and they built it properly and the vents shut off and you didn't asphyxiate or run out of oxygen? That's a shitty choice, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd get out of Dodge, but turn it all on to try and protect the stuff, right? That's
point the wife at the door. Go and see if it stopped yet.
Yeah. Now is the time. The whole US should be sending emergency services. Well, what they've done is Biden declared a state of emergency, and in this state, what they do is, basically, the federal government will pick up the tab. So that's how they support it. Yeah. So the federal government picks up the tab, so the state can do everything they possibly can, and they're going to pick up the tab afterwards. I mean, it's not direct help, is it? Really? It's poor response for one of the most advanced countries in the world, civilization-wise, arguably.
But they still haven't got everybody back up and running, or even close in Appalachia. And after the storms and the hurricanes before Christmas, there's still people there with no power.
Yeah.
No roads.
Wheeled Medic says the amount of house water mains not isolated was the reason that fire hydrants depressurized.
So the pipes burst and they couldn't keep the pressure on the hydrants then.
Yeah. Brian, there are companies who build your frames and glass, so you do the fitting and save hundreds. There you go.
Yeah, I'm too lazy for that shit. Somebody else can put them in with some expanding foam.
You get the windows, I'll come and fit them. Job done. Why's the handles on the outside, Mike? Never mind, Brian.
It's a design choice.
Even water drops aren't controlling the fire. A few more hoses working wouldn't have controlled it either. This is it. It's the winds, right? This is not like a rare thing. There's a reason insurance companies won't insure you.
Do you see they reckon possibly they had firebugs? People were setting off fires as well.
Yeah, well,
we're talking about that.
The thing is, I think it's like 80% of wildfires are man-made or human or some form of accident, like a power line going down. There's only 20% that's naturally happened. And I've seen footage of hikers running away, and they reckon they were ones that started some of it and stuff like that. So, and what I do want to talk about is the people reaction, right? Because you've got people helping out, no problems, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got people looting. Straight to looting. This isn't a breakdown of law and order. The police haven't gone out the window, but they're all preoccupied. So we've gone straight to looting.
Did you see the fake firemen?
Yeah, I've heard about them. Yeah, I heard about that. I've got an interview on here that I was going to play, but the audio's not coming through, so I can't. But it was somebody talking about that they're not just fake firemen. They come in with like white helmets and clipboards as if the utility
that's right. They do all the kit.
Yeah, utility people and stuff like that. And it's just, it's insane. This is some of the footage. This is some of the footage of the looters. One getting arrested. That's apparently somebody who started a fire. In one of the. Why would you start a fire when this is all going on? And these are looters inside one of the evacuated houses. So, and I have seen different posts on this. By the way, our last stream we did like this, I got completely demonetized for showing clips. I got in trouble off YouTube.
Dope.
But I don't care. Yeah, the last the other video I saw like that was somebody had posted it on Twitter, and then somebody had reposted it saying this is just an African American family evacuating their home. And it's just people from MAGA who are trying to say it's looting.
In the dark with their hoods up, walking upstairs.
Yeah, and
that's a funny route to get out.
Yeah, not that footage. There was different footage, but basically the footage that I saw was like, if it was a family, it was a family of 12 blokes in one house, and the first thing they were evacuating was a large screen TV.
Yeah, with their bug out crowbars.
Yeah,
was it like that? Was it?
Definitely. Will everyone's insurance go up just like after 9/11? None of them are insured, so how could they justify putting insurance up? They wouldn't pay out in the first place. A donation by Bob Hunter. Thank you very much, Bob. Every donation really does help. One step closer to a trailer for the bike. Diversity, equity, and inclusion more important than lives of men, women, and children, cats and dogs, and fish. Welcome to the world of socialism.
He's not wrong, though.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. And all this happening 5 days before presidential switch. Muxley, Mike, salt water can play havoc with the pumps on appliances. You have to flush them out with fresh water. There you go. I mean, I think getting the fire out would be more my concern than having to flush out the appliances afterwards.
Yeah, I think that would probably be a second. It's a valid concern, saltwater corrosion, but I don't know if that's the reason they haven't used it. Don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah. Googled it. Salt water has corrosive nature that can damage firefighting supplies and harm ecosystems. Not harm it more than a giant fires.
They can burn to death, but they can't get salt water on their fur.
Yeah, don't get them salt water. Let's have a quick look at the scale of this. I found this lovely map here. So this is the main where you're getting all the footage from, the Palisades here. Right, very like it's on fire next to the ocean, right? Pretty much. The yellow areas here are evacuation warnings around here. The red is evacuation orders, so they have to evacuate. And then orange is obviously slightly crispy.
It's too late.
Yeah. But I believe Mr. Woods, the clip we saw, he is in an evacuation order area. So that's, unless he did get out and come back and it's like that, I don't know. But if there's an evacuation order still in place, you shouldn't be going back to it anyway. The scary thing is that's not the only one. We've got this over here. So this is what's happening over here. Evacuation warning, evacuation orders, all the fire going through right next to what looks like National Park. I'm not sure if that's Yosemite. I'm not sure which National Park it is. San Gabriel Wilderness Area. So all this is forestry. So the potential spread is unreal on that side, right?
I'd be interested to know how the flames jumped.
Yeah.
You know,
well, this is where,
looks quite the gap.
And for anyone interested, this area here, there's Burbank, just below Burbank, where this hilly area is, that's the Hollywood sign. You may have seen social media clips where the Hollywood sign was burning. That was from a film. That wasn't real. It's not got there yet. But it's the scary thing is it's yet, because the winds are picking up again. And there's another little one up here. I mean, when all these fires started, maybe other people are just thinking. We can see the wind speeds here as well if you look. The wind speeds aren't too bad compared to what they were. 3 miles an hour there, 5, 7, 8. But yeah, I do think that like one of these might be the accidental big fire, and then others are opportunists, right? Because how do you get rid of that parking ticket? Well, we'll just burn down the town hall. Blame it on the wildfires. So,
Do you notice the effect it's had on the power grid as well?
I don't know the details of that actually. Do you?
There's blackouts all over the place.
Yeah, I assume so because power cables and will be caught in the middle of this, right?
I feel sorry for those 12 people with their hoods up, having to walk about in the dark, evacuating their TV with those crowbars. I mean, they're the real victims in this whole story.
Yeah, they are. Well, I have to give them a written apology at some point.
GoFundMe page, save the crowbars.
Seen a video with a guy using plumber's blowtorch lighting fires. He's got a citizen's arrest until the cops came and released hours later.
See, they could be doing controlled burns though.
Him trying to burn off a strip so it doesn't jump over.
Yeah,
but I mean, I
might be trying to do controlled burns.
I don't think it'd be an official one if it's just one guy with a blowtorch.
He's a bit as optimistic as a guy with a torch. The hose.
Yeah, definitely. The red bucket. Los Angeles has an entirely separate high-capacity firefighting system that hasn't been spun up. That one is capable of all water sources, including direct from the Pacific. Why the hell is it not being spun up? That's got to be the big question here then, right?
Yeah. If that's accurate, that's a scary thought. I'll have a look at that later.
How come Biden pardoned his son and Anthony Fauci all corrupt to the core? I think that's off subject, but yeah. Cheers, Bob. Thinking outside the box here, could every house with a swimming pool have a pump and a telescopic pole shooting water up over the house?
You'd be better off just pissing in the wind, mate.
I think that, I mean, that'd be great as a nice little halo system if your roof caught fire a little bit. But I don't think it'd be a preventative with the winds we're talking about and the flame intensity we're talking about. Where's that? Check this out. I need to show you this. I'm sorry again, guys, that there's no sound on this, but this is
it's
a ring.
Good enough, Mike.
This well, you know, I've got to kick you off to put the sound on. The ring, this ring doorbells come in handy all the time. All the time, ring doorbells. You see that? I mean, I think this is the scene from Men Behaving Badly where he makes the wooden barbecue and the whole fence sets on fire. But you can see how much the wind blows it around and how it can jump. Look at the embers flying absolutely everywhere.
Wow. Somebody's going to have a bad day.
Definitely. Definitely. Meanwhile, is this going to work? Meanwhile, in Texas, there's snow on the ground. And it was actually snowing earlier on this morning. This is a live cam. Yeah, in Texas, where you'd expect the dry, warm climate, it's snowing. Global warming?
It's totally fine. Sorry, it'll be cool.
It's gone conspiratorial, but they say the sleeper cells are not activated yet in US, but are they? There's a theory. If people are physically being caught starting these, is there ulterior motive?
Possibly. It uses up resources. I'm not discounting the possibility that there's state actors involved. I wouldn't think so, because the risk versus reward is really, really high for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the world's full of assholes. You could have somebody doing this for a joke, thinking it's funny, we'll just set a little fire. I don't know. That's the sort of mentality that's out there.
Yeah. It's insane, definitely. Question: how come they're not doing much about it? Surely they would, right? I don't think they're doing nothing about it. They're fighting it, right? They're battling it. But you're talking about 30, 40 mile an hour winds pushing this flame against somebody with a hose where the fire hydrant's limp. So
There's limits to what you can do, even with the resources you've got, because even if you're dousing things with water, you can only be in so many places. With that amount of frontage to cover, you can't be everywhere.
all my exes live in Texas. Is that why you hang your hat in Tennessee? Now is the time. There we go. I know the reference. It's got to be seriously hot. Lots of respect for the authorities that actually have boots on the ground that are trying to help. Yeah, definitely. It's proper post-apocalyptic scenes when I've seen a few where they're driving down the street and he's looking either side. They stopped filming Fallout Series 2 because of this going on, and I feel like you've got ready-made sets. It's just it's horrible, but
slight risk of death, though. You know, just
yeah.
throw that out there.
Listen, actors need to earn the money, all right? But yeah, I mean, there's footage here of firefighters between two houses, and one is like completely ablaze. And I feel like, look at that. That if that's your next door neighbor, it's time to worry, right?
No, really, I never liked him anyway.
I'd have to worry. It's attached to my house.
So's that, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, what lessons are we learning? This is the question on the actual video. What
You
lessons
can't depend on people.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, lots of people in LA have probably learned that lesson the hard way now, right?
How many times have we said that, though? Over how many different disasters and things and potential scenarios that there's no there's only you and yours. You can only depend on yourself, family and friends, and your like-minded friends.
I have a t-shirt. No one is coming to save you. I'm trying to tell everyone.
You're a walking sandwich board.
That's it. That's what I'm doing. But it's true. It's like, but I don't. The only lessons I could take. I mean, the question was Zebra Prep. You're guilty for this rambling, by the way. Zebra Prep that wanted this video, wanted this live. But yeah, the lessons taken from this. Obviously, we've said bug out bag has to be a must, right? Get out of Dodge as soon as you can. But surely the main lesson is don't build your mansion in an area where you can't get insurance. If the insurance is worried about something, it's like when they won't insure you to live right next to a river on a level ground all the way across because it's a in floodplain.
And yet we've got that in the UK, and every year you see the same people on the TV. No harm to them, but woe is me, my house is flooded. But weren't you on it last year and the year before? We've not got any insurance. Yeah, that's because your house keeps flooding. Can you see where I'm going here? Perhaps you want to move.
Or stilts. It works in other countries. House on stilts.
Stilts catch fire in LA, though. That's the problem. I think, like you say, avoidance is always preferential.
There you go. Catching and going up the hill again. Madness. Yeah, I mean, sorry. There's your hose brigade. And hey, wave to the camera. Yay! We've got our hoses, guys.
We're all gonna die.
Priorities, guys. Priorities. Yeah. I'm lost as to why you'd live in somewhere like that. But I mean,
it's never going to happen to you.
It's never going to happen. How do you train that attitude out of somebody, though?
When they're dead, when it did happen. How to hide bodies.
Instant cremation. But yeah, it's the human response is very interesting because, like I say, lots of people, like we just saw there, coming together, trying to save the neighbors' houses. And then on the other hand, you've got people looting and stuff. And I heard preppers, I mean, I've spoke to preppers recently, and I've heard preppers on videos recently talk about that it wouldn't, you know, if we had a major blackout, major fire like this that causes them power outages, everyone would come together. There wouldn't be
No, they
civil
wouldn't.
disorder. There wouldn't be chaos. Everyone looks after everyone, and it's all wonderful. But proof's in
I'll
the
write to
pudding.
your family. Human nature doesn't change, and it's never changed throughout the ages.
Yeah.
It's demonstrable. It's well evidenced what people will do in times of strife. They'll devolve to their base instincts, which is fuck you. Excuse the language, but that is the reality.
How do you defend against looters? Oh, is that a loaded question?
Literally a loaded question.
Well, no, it's not, because I mean, if you're going to follow the evacuation order, then you've got to get out of Dodge, right? And there's no way to protect your house once you've left it.
If you know the fire's going to be a risk, like you say, don't be there to start with. But if you are going to choose to live there, then your escape and evasion's got to be you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a route. You've got to have all the avenues covered. You've got to have your bug out bag. You've got to have all your documentation. You're gambling with your life here for a house.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well,
is it worth it?
It's stuff at the end of the day, right? If it's peace times, especially, it's just stuff, right? So don't risk your life for stuff. Are the government doing enough, in your opinion, for this? Or does Biden just not give a shit because it's not his problem in 5 days' time?
I think you'll have a lot of people trying to make hay out of this from all sides of government. Look at me, what we're doing. Look at them, what they're not doing. But I'll refer to my earlier point about what's happened to the states that were hit by hurricanes. With the best will in the world, they actively blocked Good Samaritans from doing their part. They stopped it. People were helicoptering in supplies and they were threatening them with arrest because they were getting in the way. And the guy says, well, hang on a minute, I've just rescued 6 people who were stuck. They haven't had water for 4 days. The amount of videos like that were doing the rounds were horrific. But they've still got people, thousands of people that have got no power. And you're nearly, 4 months later?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of the countries in the world that's the most affluent, that espouses virtues of looking after the populace and all the rest of it. Is it just geographically too large? Or is it just not prepared enough for domestic problems? I don't know.
Did they just need to trim LA a bit? Gatwick Scuba, I have family member who is a firefighter out there. Well, I pray for him and hope he's safe, or he or she. He, she, or it. Sorry, modern days.
Kettle.
The blame from the guys on the ground is the rewilding shit. The state has stopped clearing dead plant life.
Heard that more than once. It's a housekeeping issue. There's a path for the fire to propagate between the tree lines.
And this is down to rewilding then. So thinking that's going to help growth, because I remember Dan on the channel talked about more and more fires that we're getting in the UK, and we never used to. Like 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was unheard of. And then last year in Bolton alone, there was 3 on the big hills that are around there. And he's saying every time it burns, the fresh stuff that's coming back is more flammable, sort of thing. It's like a drier. So, I mean, it could be a similar sort of thing to that, right? So it sounds like it's somebody's genius idea to rewild, and it's backfired.
Literally. But there's fire breaks for a reason, because in the past they've had problems and it's caused issues like this or similar. You have fire breaks for a reason.
This is an interesting one. Full of hope. In the USA, you cannot have a mortgage without insurance if it's refused. Then you lose the house. It's a land grab, like Maui. Interesting. I mean, how could all them people not be insured, right? I mean,
because they don't need to worry about it.
They don't need a mortgage, right? Is that what we're saying?
They've got money.
But I mean, surely this will spread to lesser income places. Or is it a controlled rich people burn? Is that what we're doing?
I think, as with every disaster in life, those that can least afford it suffer the most.
Well, usually you get the spraying plane at 3:30 a.m. and the air ambulance, which is a seeking, I think, a seeking, So all these planes that I can't see are driving me nuts. There you go. Not building houses made of wood in a fire-prone area would be a good start. Is the US allergic to brick? What do you think of that? Wooden built houses? Because I mean, this is on my thought patterns at the moment, because you know my potential plans. And I've looked at wooden frame buildings, and there's some logic to it, and they can be as fireproofed as brick.
They'll have a fire rating, but they'll never be as fireproof as brick.
Well, yeah. I mean,
have the
it's
three little
almost the
pigs never
same.
taught you anything, Mike? Think back to nursery school.
I know a guy that's made a house out of straw. He made big straw bales and then concreted it up.
Building control in the planning department have obviously scrutinised the three little pigs.
But wooden builds, it works, and it's a lot cheaper, and you can have a huge footage house compared to brick, right?
It's money. It's money, yeah. Boils down to money.
I mean, I agree with them in a fire-prone area with, you know, the Santana winds or whatever they call them, you know, then, yeah, maybe that is a bit on the...
But they've got... The other thing as well, when you talk about the design of the houses in that environment, they generally don't have a slate roof, it's slate shingles. So everything that you can possibly burn is put out on the front of the building. Could be vinyl sidings, it could be wooden exterior, shingles on the roof. I mean, you take your pick. The only thing that's not likely to burn is a bloody pool.
Yeah, well, that's where you want to be in. Another donation from Bob Hunter. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
really
Bob.
appreciate it. But Mike, the WEF are driving us off the road. They are pricing us into oblivion. This is all planned, mate. Agenda 30. It's doing very well. The sheep are.
I don't think I would subscribe to that intensity of the argument.
The World Economic Fund. No?
I think you've got a lot of incompetent people in positions of power that shouldn't be there. But to be controlled to such an extent that they've got a grand plan for imposing their order and wiping everybody out, I'd need to see a lot of evidence in that. I know there's loads of conspiracy theories on it, and I may well be wrong, but I'd really need to see a lot of proof.
I think it was happening. I don't think you'd ever see the proof. I saw a film. I watched another random disaster film on Amazon. I've been going down the low budget routes, and it started with loads of B-52 style planes flying over the population of the States, releasing a black fog, which killed 90% of the population. So I don't think you'd know about an agenda like that until it was too late.
I mean, if you wanted a conspiracy theory about mass control of the population, look at mobile phones and handsets. I think we spoke about this before, but if I had to say to you 40 years ago, I'm going to give you a device in your hand that you'll panic if you don't have it, that it will control everything you like, that you look at, who you talk to, what you say, it will record you speaking even when you're not on it. Right.
It will break and make future relationships.
Yep. It'll track you wherever you go. It'll monitor all your social habits, networks, and everything else. Right. And you're going to want this. You're going to pay for it, and you're also going to pay a monthly fee to keep it. You would have said I was nuts.
Yeah. Well, I still do, but that's beside the point.
That's a separate issue. I'm generally not. But if you want to talk about mass control and manipulation, then look at what's in your pocket.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And we're
Have you looked at blue screens?
Yeah, well, we're all victims of it, really, aren't we? So, and
read up on blue screens if you want a conspiracy theory.
I've looked at some of it, yeah. But I mean, I still think you're crazy anyway. Who else sits there with a podcast mic on the shelf next to him while he talks on a headset instead?
Well,
it's just for
there's
show.
A reason for that. There's a good reason. The other end of the dongle that fits into the tablet, I've lost it.
Right. Okay. So it's just a showpiece now. It's now a prep. Tamara says, if you had an underground bunker, could you ride out the fire in there instead of evacuating?
Yes, to an extent, if you had a means of, if you had enough oxygen in there for the number of people that were going to be in it, if it was enough insulation between you and the flames, and if you were able to shut off with a mechanical valve the air intakes.
Yeah.
So yes, potentially.
I mean, how heavily can you filter that? Could you keep air intakes going, and because they can filter, you could filter
They
it,
do it in
right?
submarines all the time. You'll have HEPA filters in most of the Andair systems anyway, but you need carbon dioxide scrubbers, same as they do in a sub. So yeah, if you've got the money and you anticipated that as a risk, you could have, apart from just blast valves for a nuclear shelter, apart from the blast valves, you could have manual shut-off valves, and then you could have CO2 scrubbers. So it is doable.
I mean, if you've got the money to build a bunker, do it properly, right? You wouldn't half-ass it. Oh, look, I've just got a big underground container. I don't need vents. I don't need all this.
I've seen some people talking about storing oxygen tanks in it, and for this sort of shit. That's the last thing you would want to do, is an explosive risk like that. If you were going down that rabbit hole, then go for the CO2 scrubbers.
I mean, oxygen tanks as well. You've got to regulate that and how it comes out and stuff like that. And it's there's the explosive risk in such a confined space. You'll all just end up high and dead.
A pressurized vessel in an oxygen enriched atmosphere with flames round about you. There's a slight element of risk in that for me.
All right, boys, we're in our bunker, nice and safe now. It's not a problem. So the answer is yes, you could, but you'd have to make sure you build it properly. And I wouldn't even say for somewhere like this with wildfires, I think that would be a given for if there was nuclear, any sort of wars, flames and fire is going to be an issue and fallout, right?
And yet they generally don't know. That's the thing. See, for most standard bunkers, they go with blast valves, and their system is a big installer, and they've generally got a electric fan with a manual crank, and you'll have the HEPA filters, maybe a UV light in it. It's basically activated charcoal and stuff. And then it's in a bag, you take it out and put a new one in. But they don't, as a rule, have CO2 scrubbers.
Insurance companies were refusing policy renewals for months before this event. So it's not a case of they just can't get insurance living there. It's suddenly they've decided to stop. So, I mean, the conspiracy would be they knew something was coming, although insurance companies are very good at reading situations. And if this rewilding was a massive hazard and people have pulled that up, that could be the reason, right?
Given that I work for an insurance company, I've got nothing bad to say about them in any way, shape or form.
Bastards. But yeah, it's true though, right? They not predict, but they will look at assess a situation every time a renewal is up, right?
There is modelling.
Yeah, if you were insuring against floods, and suddenly they built a giant canal right next to your house, on a level plane, or you were just below it, that changes that insurance, right?
In other parts of your business will have what they'll call risk engineers, and they'll go in and look at the likelihood of the environment round about them and things that could go wrong. So they'll do groundworks and have a look, mostly in the industrial side.
Greta Thunberg stopped them from clearing the dead vegetation and dredging the rivers. Perfect storm. There you go. Why did people not just go for a swim in the sea? They have technically evacuated and can come back and meet the looters if need be. I mean, that's a long swim if you're out there for 3 or 4 days. It's
Meanwhile, there's a shark playing the cello.
I have no doubt the size of these houses, a lot of people did evacuate onto boats that they had in that harbour if they had the availability to get there. I mean, that would have been my plan. Be Steve on his boat next to you going, "Oh, goodbye." They had hurricane type winds. Think any other time it might have been fine. Yeah. So I mean, the combination, it's a perfect combination of everything, right? You can see the wind, the strength of the wind in a lot of this footage. Someone
you can't
stuck a
compete
bike
against
to the side
that.
of that car. Yeah, it's
What a shame. Lovely houses too.
It is. It is. I mean, land's going to be cheaper there. But how far is this going to spread? How far is this going to spread? We've got lots of celebrities on the. I suppose a lot of these celebrities are leaving now anyway because of Trump getting in, and they said they were going to leave if Trump got in. So maybe this is a non-issue, right?
A lot of people with money left California years ago and have all buggered off to Texas because they just don't like the state. If you look at Joe Rogan and that, they fucked off years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Gatwick Scuba, what's the bet when they rebuild? It's in a dome. Simpsons got it right.
Logan's Run.
Yeah. Another donation by Bob. This stream tonight is completely sponsored by Bob Hunter. Thank you very much. Guys, 15-minute cities, mass immigration. Wake up, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's a different topic, Bob, I think, but I don't know. What happens here? Does this just get rebuilt exactly the way it is? Is this land going to be repurposed? Because they still own the rights to the land, the individuals, right?
It'll be yesterday's news.
Yeah.
See, in a couple of weeks' time, when was the last time you heard about all these poor people that get hit in the hurricane and that are still suffering, that still having to get running water and electricity? When was the last time there was a news article on them and what's been done for them? They're yesterday's news. See, in a couple of days, maybe even a week's time, these poor buggers will be yesterday's news as well, and it'll be something else. So, yeah. The money will come back and they'll build on these places again. And if it happens again, they'll probably bugger off to their big super yachts, like you said. But the people around about it that are on the breadline, that the two of them are working 3-4 jobs to try and get by, that have got no insurance, it's them that's bollocks.
Yeah, I mean, people that are looking at all these big houses and saying, oh, they can afford to rebuild. But who do you think works at the Starbucks down the road? It's no one that lives in these big houses. Oh, yeah, it might be Mr. Rich Guy's son to teach him a lesson to go and get a job. But often it'll be somebody in a bedsit above a shop in the area, like you say, working the remedial jobs. And they're probably the people that are helping themselves to the large TVs. I don't want to stereotype. I'm sorry. That's really bad. I shouldn't say this. I saw a couple of celebrities putting out messages saying they had their bags packed and ready to go. If I was in a risk area, I'd be gone straight away, not waiting around. I mean, good point, Brian. At what point? Obviously, we saw that map. So Brian's just moved. Brian now lives in the middle of Malibu Crook State Park, right? Brian, you live here. This is your house.
Great. I'm sleeping on a bench. Thanks. Cheers,
well, I was going to
Mike.
say you built a log cabin or something, but you know. This is an evacuation warning, which is odd because you're right next to the evacuation order. It's weird how this is. Look at that. I mean, how does the warning and order follow that perfect line? Is this a county line? Maybe the evacuate.
It must be based in wind direction and the propagation of the fire.
What wind makes a perfect angle like that? Down here, look.
A smart wind. I think that's just
I assume it's
an
a
inaccuracy.
county line.
Yeah, it'll be something like
that. But you live here. Have you already left? Are you thinking about leaving? What are you doing right now in Brian's log cabin?
You'll be sitting listening to the news, multiple sources, and making a judgment call based on, you can look out your door. If there's that volume of flame and smoke, you'll smell it, you'll see it. And at that point, you're going to make a judgment call. The house that you live in, is it worth dying over? Where you're pointing on the map there, what escape routes have you got away from the direction of flames? What's the road reports like? Is it even going to be, is the car going to be a metal coffin if you jump in it now? Are you actually going to get away? Or do you need to maybe look at a dirt bike or something? It all depends.
You can go and chill out on the Malibu Lake. There you go. So, I mean, obviously you're in an assessment stage there. What if you're here? So you're in a mandatory, not a mandatory, but an evacuation order. I assume
Yeah,
they
you've
don't
got to go.
enforce it. I don't assume they don't enforce it. Yeah, you say that, but if you're in there, for example, you're right in this top corner, your next door neighbor, but for a county line, is on a warning, but you're told you have to go. Would you stay, hold out?
Here's another thing to think about. It's all right us thinking, what would you do? It might be like it's January, right? Everybody just went through Christmas. Money's tight for most people. Where are you going? Your credit cards are maxed out buying stuff. Yeah, but you've already spent all your money. Christmas presents for the kids. You're leaving all your belongings behind. That's for us sitting here with no financial pressure or loss of property. It's an easy decision to make. It's well, I would go.
Yeah,
but when you're sitting there literally in the hot seat, that is a terrible quandary to be in, isn't it? That's so difficult.
It is because I mean, especially the threat of looters makes that even more of a difficult decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got your all your kids' stuff in there, all your belongings, and the fire might not come that way, or it might get stopped before it hit you.
You're sitting there, kids are playing with their toys from Christmas. You're in a perceived place of safety. You've got everything that you've accumulated to keep you and your family safe for years right there. At what point do you decide it's less risk to give up all this that you can't take with you and jump in the car and hope that the freeway is opened and everybody's getting out and you're not going to be caught in these fast-moving winds in a sheet of flame? What a horrible position to be in.
It is. It's scary. It's really, really scary. Is anyone going to want to rebuild there knowing the fire risk? Yes.
Probably.
Now is the time. Yes. Do you know why? Because they start off as it'll never happen to me people. And then they're justified by it's lightning doesn't strike twice. That's the other phrase that they love. So they will. They'll rebuild. It's not going to happen again. We've learned our lesson.
The next house builder will have James Woods on the front of the for sale sign. Yeah. James Woods approved non-flammable house.
Protected by the James Wood Prayer Association. Jess Pixie, Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan while his house burnt down. Then he went on the news to pretty much say it's a land grab. I don't believe that. Mel Gibson's not one for crazy extreme rants or anything like that.
The living persona of Mad Max.
Interesting, though. Interesting that he would come out and say it's a land grab. How could it be a land grab? What would it be a land grab for, Brian?
I have no idea how that would work. So what are we saying then? That people's houses burnt to the ground, they can't get insurance, so they have to sell the now, you would think, reduced priced land to somebody with lots of money who will then go and build another house on it. That's the only way I can see it as a land grab that would work.
I've cracked it. I know it. I know what's happening. You heard it here first. All these rich people who want to rebuild the houses, but it's a fire risk, will now be persuaded for the new state of Greenland to go and populate it.
The penguin people, they're on the move.
Call me crazy, but you know, Greenland's been in the news. Looters will be buying fireman outfits for next time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the mainstream media gives you all the ideas. They really do. In 5 days, then it'll be all Trump. Like you said, the mainstream media. I wonder, it'll be interesting because I'm sure we'll have some conversations about the inauguration and Trump taking over, because I'm sure he'll make headlines in the first week at some point, and we'll get Ration Nerd back on for one of those. That's always fun. It'd be interesting to see how much news coverage is going on for the fires when we do that.
All the news coverage just now is on the hostages in Gaza.
Full of Hope also said, watch Joe Rogan interviewing Mel Gibson. I'm going to literally do that straight after this live. I'm going to go and watch that.
I was going to look at that one because I've seen it on the podcast role for Mel Gibson for Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But I hate Mel Gibson. He does the worst Scottish accent ever.
Don't diss his freedom. Full of Hope, £5 donation. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. because no doubt I'll be demonetized because of these clips. I have tons of totes priced a storage unit 130 to 150 per month. Is that normal? I would love to free up space in the house, but that's crazy. Yeah, she's expanding. You can never have too much preps, right?
No, not at all. Seems pretty expensive for a storage unit, though.
It does. I mean, that I'm guessing. So mine's my awesome storage unit that ruined everything. Fuck off. I'm still. They've had the cheek to not respond to me, Brian. You know that. They've not responded to 2 emails about this so far. So I'm going to take an hour off work and go down there and tear them one this week. Anyway,
maybe it's only 150 quid if you get the water feature. This isn't helpful, is it?
This is our tranquil water effect dripping storage. No, but what I was saying before we went down the road of my devastation and 3 moldy tents and a canopy that's no longer usable. Mine's quite expensive because I opted for an outside one. Based on prepping facts of like they had no contingency for the main building if there's a power cut. The locks don't open in a power cut automatically. It's all closed up. So if there was a grid down, that storage unit, I'm gonna have to go through it with a car or an axe. Whereas the outside ones, you can
or a life vest.
Yeah, well, yeah. The outside ones you can access. So that's probably why it's more expensive. Moving quickly on. Asshole. I've looked into it personally, but I wouldn't surprise me. Just don't make the same mistake Mike did. Cheers, Zebra. Thank you. Can we not talk about Mike? Can we not talk about Mike's storage unit anymore, please?
You could market it to people in California, guaranteed never to go on fire.
Fucking white. I'm still hurt about this. I've not got over the grieving stage of all the stuff I've lost, right? And the money.
I get that, but it's still pretty funny though.
It can be funny in 2 weeks' time. They have 2 years to rebuild and keep the property tax they're currently paying. If it's over 2 years to rebuild, they get property tax on the new home valuation. There you go. High school gym halls and stadiums turned into welfare reception centres. I wouldn't like to be in a stadium anywhere near this fire. Feels like a tinderbox. Everything is well sealed and vac sealed, etc. But the price, yeah.
It's a lot of money, yeah. What about for throw it out there for 150 quid a month? Maybe save for a year and build a bigger shed out in the garden if that's an option. I don't know what the property situation is like, but at least it's yours and it's within line of sight.
Full of hope, I'm going to tell you what nobody else will tell you. It's time for a clear out. It's time to sort through the preps and make some room. I've 4 sheds full of wood. So she's got room for 4 sheds. So maybe, yeah, she could build something in place of the 4 sheds, like, I don't know, a block of flats to contain all of her preps.
Ditch half the wood and use 2 of the sheds for preps.
Mike could redirect his water to California to help with the fires. I don't even know you guys, and you're all swear
There's
box.
got to be a t-shirt on that. There's got to be a t-shirt in it.
I'm not making a t-shirt for my own disaster. You can all kiss my ass. Oh, wow, that's interesting. This unit is behind a pin code unit, needs power. There, exactly. Yeah, you do need to, you can ask them full of hope without, giving it away that you're any sort of prep or anything. Just say, like, I had a unit before and there was a power cut and I had to get it into it in the morning and they had a manual chain. Do you have any contingencies for that? So
but none of the leaky ones.
Oh, we're at an hour. It's time to end. Sorry. Jesse Pixie, we are good, but we have friends in NC who are still not doing well at all. I just brought them propane and wood over the weekend.
Poor buggers. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It's madness that's going on everywhere. I control what comments pop up. I'm just clicking them before I read them. This has backfired to me before. Jesus Christ. The property tax change will be in the region of $65,000 before to $400,000 after. Imagine paying $400,000 in property tax. It can take a year to get a permit to drain the pool of dead animals after fires.
Although Sleepy Joe was on the news, I don't know if this would actually happen, but he did say he was going to cut through all the red tape and bullshit and get rid of all the barriers to rebuilding. So I hope that's not the case for the people that have lost their things. Maybe they'll actually, for once, a politician will do what he says.
Yeah, it's. I stopped listening to the comments. I'm starting to have my own conspiracy theories as they're talking.
That was the same news conference that he said he was talking about people that have lost their lives, and he keeps it in a card close to his heart. It's only the other day, and he put his hand in his pocket. He's like, I've left it at home, and then he went away on a tangent.
Doesn't sound like him. Doesn't sound like him at all.
No. It's out of character.
Oh. Sleepy Joe's pronouncements means Jack in Cali. Full of Hope, can you rent a council garage or something? I don't know where you are, but that's another option. Yep, there you go. Full of Hope, we can always just go in together, and me and you could buy a castle in Scotland, and we'll just share the space. There we go. Job done.
And Dave's
got his own castle. We're going to go to war.
He's got his own castle.
Trebuchets across our castles. Come on, guys. The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 12 to 18 months from now. Well, there you go. But I just
There's
don't
an element of truth in that.
I don't see what I don't get about conspiracy theories, like the land grab thing and stuff like that. I don't understand why. If it was this country, I might understand, because land is not something they're making any more of, and it's not something we have an abundance of. But it's not like they've got a shortage of land in the United States.
Going by the figures that the poster had put there, and I've no reason to doubt it because I don't know anything about the situation. But
sorted. You're moving in with me, Full of Hope. There you go. Job done.
If they're quoting property taxes of £65,000, get up to $400,000 for talk's sake, right? There's easier ways to get general taxation out of the populace than set them on fire. The risk versus reward thing, if anything gets caught, if anybody blabs, I just don't see that as realistic. I don't think they're going to set fire to a state just so they can put up property taxes. That just seems too high risk for the potential reward. They'd be easier just taxing you a couple of cents.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. Like I said, none of the conspiracy theories add up to a reason. The reason, it's not the theory and how it could, when they explain how a theory could be right, it makes sense. But then when you ask why, that's when it all falls apart.
Yeah,
like they're seeding loads of clouds and they're doing all this, and your Jet 2 airplane that took you to Spain is spewing fake clouds out the back because they've got space for all them containers on board with your luggage and all the passengers, I'm sure. But why?
There's no, the same as COVID was a dummy run to kill people. Yeah, the problem is, because of a lot of the shady shit governments have done in the past, there's a fundamental lack of trust, full stop. And there's a fundamental lack of trust in how the response to civil disorder and civil disasters, right? Because they just don't do a good job. They get it wrong all the time. So there's no trust.
Yeah. Here's my why. Mr. T said they just happened to have LA 2.0 smart city plans ready, and that fire was just so convenient. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make use of the smart LA 2.0 city. But who's doing this?
They?
Yeah, exactly. Who's they? Because it's not Biden, because they're not going to build a smart city in 5 days. They can't even build him they haven't got. I don't know. I was going to say something, but
I'm not saying you're wrong, right? But again, I go back to the risk versus reward. Obviously, the builders and developers, there's an element of thanks, Tel. That there's an element of financial gain in that, right? But people talk, people get caught doing shady shit. Otherwise, we wouldn't have conspiracy theories to fall back on that have actually happened, right? So I just don't see it. I cannot see somebody run about setting fires just to change the look of a city or get property taxes. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'd take a lot of convincing on that.
I mean, Zebra Prep says maybe they're running out of space on the coast. I mean, it's well built up, but there's still all this is not built up. All this is not built up. All this, they've got more coastline than you could ever need for any country. Oh, Naval Air Station. Run away, run away. I'll be on a watch list. But yeah, I definitely don't think that's the issue. Thank you, Teleboy, for the super sticker. It's really appreciated.
I think if you look at the simple options, Mike, that it's just mismanaged state parks, forests, and infrastructure. So piss poor response from your fire delivery systems, water suppression, that kind of stuff. Too long to get dumping of water out of airplanes, taking too long to get that there, taking too long to mobilise from other states more firefighters. I just think it's a lot of bad things. And then add into the mix really strong winds blowing hot burning shit all over the place in wooden houses. You don't need a conspiracy theory for that. That is the reality. It's just a lot of bad shit happens.
Yeah. And people taking advantage. Jay, conspiracy. Aye. The pokey from the China virus is safe. My mum is a doctor. Within 10 days of having the booster, pokey. She got blood clots in her lungs. She's super lucky to be here. But they will tell you it's all coincidence, Jay.
Yeah, I got a 7-month holiday for work after taking it, so I'm all on board with that particular conspiracy theory.
You got 7-month holiday? What?
Yeah, I was off work for 7 months, mate. They couldn't get my blood pressure down. my blood pressure at one point was 220 over 196.
Wow. There you go. I read Gil Bates patents. It's scary. There you go.
Patents, not his pants.
Yeah. 15 minutes. 15-minute cities are in the UK already being implemented. Oxford, Canterbury, Swindon, etc. 15-minute cities and C40 cities with smart grid to control and monitor everything.
That's a different thing, though. I'm not saying that. If you look at China and the model that they've went with, walking and pattern recognition of your footsteps and things.
Yeah,
we're not there yet. But that's not to say that we're not going there, because you've got cameras everywhere that monitor where you drive, how you drive, walking down the street, and everything in between. So I get that. There's an element in that, but I don't think you set a state on fire just to bring in another city.
No,
I'm not saying he's wrong, but I don't think you'd set the place on fire to do it.
No, but if you want a cheap land for the dome, all the amenities are in place, ready for the lefty state of Cali. I mean, can we do that in the UK? Can we make a giant dome and a huge city and just move all lefties in there? I'm sure nothing untoward will happen inside said dome, but just put them all in one place.
Wouldn't work, mate. There'd be too many planning applications knocked back because there'd be a spider or a squirrel had to get its tree chopped down. You'd never build it.
I just meant the LA coastline, not all of Cali, but I get what you're saying. Well, I mean, to be honest, from what I've seen of, I've not been to LA. I've been virtually to LA. I know that sounds weird, but I used to do this Wander app on the VR, and there's parts of it that need redeveloping. So I don't think it would ever be something like that. They want to build a city there, I reckon, or something to do with Bill Gates. Well, he does own 85% of farmland now in the US. Really? Is that true?
Don't know that.
Christ. We've got Bond villains everywhere.
Bill Gates stroking his pussy.
Miss
Yeah.
Worm is finally here, late to work. 15-minute cities are a great idea. It's how we used to live in the 80s. Problem is how the authorities will use the idea to exert unreasonable control over us. What's your thoughts on that? I know we're
The
off topic
problem
here,
with big hospitals, big schools, big cities, none of them ever work. You get a big hospital, you get an infection, it shuts the whole place down.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big school, you've got an issue, it shuts the whole place down. You've got a big city. We've had big cities that have been ran and built. They've been all over the news in the 60s and 70s. Concrete behemoths. Look here, there's no cars. It's the city of the future. Okay, fast forward 20 years, it's a mugger's paradise. Rampant crime. People can't go out at night time. Show me a successful one.
Yeah. Shove your 15-minute cities, it's freedom or bust. You mustn't be in the UK, because to think we have freedom at the moment is optimistic at best. I'm just scanning through the comments. We've kind of covered the fire side of things, really. They would set the land on fire if there was billions or trillions of rare earth minerals under LA. I wouldn't put anything past them. I mean, I don't think LA would be on lots of rare earth minerals, but I mean, I could be wrong. But
if there was lots of rare earth minerals under LA, somebody would have found a reason to get at them. It's easier to take them from a poorer country and use their population to do it with no health and safety risks. It's cheaper. It's fundamentally cheaper.
Gates is the US largest landowner. Yes, there you go.
Wow.
So he bought 85% of land. So Elon Musk thought, fuck it, you can have the land. I'm taking space. Brian, I'm getting the vibe you're not a fan of special gender neutral wife life.
I don't even know what that is. I've got to be honest. I'd need that explained in detail, because I'm not a fan of woke pish in general, if that's what you mean.
It sounds so much better in Scottish. Woke pish.
It just is absolute shit. See what people want to do behind closed doors. I'm all for it. Fill your boots. But the way the world's going now, it's just, look at me. I want attention.
Yeah.
I don't care. Everybody's looking for an excuse to be offended. Why don't you just live your life and stop fucking pestering people? How about that for an idea?
Yeah. There's words I can't read out on here, but there you go. You can read that one yourselves. I'll just get instantly kicked off for a name. I'm sorry, but I'm unsubscribed to you guys. I don't appreciate your laughter at burning cities and lives, animals lost. It's not funny. We're not laughing at people's loss, Bob.
Nobody's laughing at anybody's losing their life or anything like that. You've misinterpreted the whole conversation if you think that, Bob. Sorry. If anything, we've went to great pains to point out the fact that it's terrible for these people that's happened to them. Right?
Yeah.
As far as the conspiracy theory side of things go, that's just a discussion, a difference of opinion. But nobody's laughing at MD's misfortune. But the podcasts are always generally humorous and light-hearted. That's no taking light of people suffering. Nobody's getting but abject sympathy for these people, right? And we feel sorry for them.
If anything, we're laughing at conspiracy theories and ridiculous ideas surrounding this, that it's not just a terrible disaster. So, sorry you feel that way, Bob. Shame to see you go, but each to their own, not a problem. We won't change how we do things. We like to try and keep the lighter side of things, you know. Otherwise, we'll all just be sat here super serious. I'm not going down that road. I'm with Brian. Go walk, go up in smoke. Just ask LA. Wow. I mean, that's too soon. Now is the time. Too soon. By the way, the wellness clinic was a washout, says Full of Hope.
That's a pity.
About there?
She was kind enough to send me an email about potential suppliers from the US of a medical kit, antibiotics, or herbal remedies and that kind of thing. it looks like it's been a bust.
Yeah.
But thanks for trying, though.
Jess Pixie, I just remembered to hit the like button. Did you? You
Hero.
haven't, have you? Go and do
Nope.
it. Conspiracy theory is just a theory, Bob. Speculation with humor. Sorry to see you go. There you go. So there are 900 million acres of farmland in the USA. Gates owns nothing in that respect. Okay,
it's something I know nothing about. I've got to be honest.
We're British.
Yeah,
it's gallows humor. It's how we cope with things. Exactly.
I'll tell you a story about that in a slight segue. My mother was dying of cancer, and we would go down and visit her we'd go down and visit her more than every Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my brother, my sisters were sitting there one night, and I nudged my brother, and we looked at this white tablecloth, and he knew what I was meaning. So I'd said, "Do you think that would work?" Yeah. I thought, well, we'll go with that. So then my mother had figured out we're talking about something. She says, "What are you conspiring about?" I thought, well, we're just trying to figure out if that would save us money for your burial, just to use that as a shroud. That doesn't mean to say we wanted her to die. That just means we're making light-hearted a situation, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. That is gallows humour.
Yeah. I mentioned it the other day when my granddad passed away, and it was a cremation. It was the first cremation of the day. And that's how they heat a crematorium. Or some of the older ones, maybe the new ones are different, but they heat it with the furnaces that they think. And my stepdad shouted out at the start of the service, "Can we shove him in now before we're all joining him?" You know what I mean?
Remember that.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah.
Take the joy where you can find it.
Yeah. Stabs Workshop, always hit the like button on the way in. That way I don't miss it on the way out. You can always change your mind like Bob on the way out and hit dislike. There we go.
Well, perhaps they won't leave because he's been on the channel for a long time, and I'd be sorry to see him go.
Yeah, well, if he does,
so it's his choice.
Freedom, the little freedom we have in this country. Freedom, you can choose who you subscribe to. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Thank you. Everyone's just agreeing. So yeah, that's it. Comments have dried up on that one. I will reiterate what Brian just said. We're not making light of this situation. We're looking at how we can learn from this as preppers. I mean, the bottom line is something that fierce, something that horrendous, you cannot prep for without a massive budget. We're talking like bunkers with all the right stuff, like Brian was mentioning, or, you happen to have a 3 million gallon pool that you can pump out your giant hose, but there's no way to prep for this. So the prep for this, the thing you learn from this is you can only control your bubble. Yeah. Situations can happen tomorrow that you have no control over. You've no preps in your house that can deal with it. You can't fend it off. You can't stop it. So just be ready to go. Just be ready to start again. Have your bug out bag, have your documents, have your alien butt plug, also known as the Stealth USB Survivor, which now works
brand
on
name.
Yeah, which now works on.
You want to tell them the brand name, Mike?
What?
The Brown Spider Tickler 2000.
So I'm trying to read the brand name. I'm like, it's Corsair. What's he on about? Jesus Christ. We got it working on Mac for one of the people in the Discord the other day as well. So it works on all devices. So it's all good. I put 2 cigs and a tea bag in my mum's casket. Sadly, I couldn't fit a TV in there. She was only 4'11". There you go. Love that. Love that. Did you ever see the Irish funeral of the guy and his last
Yes, they put the speaker in it. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. This is it. This is what you gotta laugh, otherwise you'd cry. Emigrate, then cry. British humor is dark. Americans' humor is more goofy. It took my American wife a while to get used to British humor, but now she has dark humor. Listen, if you're coming over here as an expat from the States, you should be sat down and spoon-fed Monty Pythons and then Fawlty Towers, and we should have a list of comedy they have to watch before they come. Oh, I've gone blurry. I'm back.
'Tis but a scratch.
Yes, it's a flesh wound. I just choked, drank my cup of tea, and forgot to take the tea bag out.
Spitters or quitters.
You teabagged yourself, Tell. Something positive we can take away is that in situations like this, it brings out the good and generosity in many people, and it does. And you'd think you wouldn't get that as much in such an affluent area. We often think of like the super rich as a bit like, well, somebody else can do that. I'm just going to go off on my yacht. But you saw them fighting off with hoses on the side.
The only caveat to that I would say is it brings out equally the bad in people. And the longer shit goes wrong, those good people that are helping you with the hose, they're just as likely to strangle you with it in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And what we learned from this is you don't know. You don't know which person is the good one that's going to come and help and which one is the one coming to liberate your television from your wall. Sorry. Family of 12 men moving house with the hoods up. Sorry. I think
they're escaping evasion crowbars.
Yeah. Stop laughing, Brian. Super serious.
Oh no.
I think putting female hormones in beer. I think they're putting female hormones in beer because I talk bollocks and I can't drive after 6 or 7 pints.
Well, there's half the subscribers gone right away.
Can I pin that comment?
She's probably watching this, but my wife's an exceptional driver. She's crashed every car she's owned. She's never differentiated between any of them.
Consistency
She is.
is key. Yeah, I get critiqued by the missus, and she's got 6 points on her license. I'm like,
speeding. Terrible.
I understand, but when you get overwhelmed, it's a good idea to disconnect for a while. We cannot take on everything and function. Please take care. Cheers for them words. Oh, wow. It's getting a bit serious in here.
Give me a chuckle. Sorry, let me look.
Why bother putting it in the beer when they can get female hormones out of the drinking water? Apparently, another conspiracy theory being thrown up by Jess there. Mr. T, multitasking that, Brian, driving and crashing at the same time.
Oh no, I don't get this one. Yeah, okay. Yes, positive notes.
Come on, Brian. The sweet, sweet taste.
I've ran out. I only came to the podcast with 3 cans and they're all gone.
There you go. He's run out of Pepsi. So we'll go with the sweet, sweet taste of Mike's freezing cold coffee.
I hope it chokes you.
In the Prepper Fireside book.
I mean, I think the take homes out of all of this is have a plan, have your bug out bag, and in this situation, all of this is applicable.
Yeah. It's scary that there's so many lives lost, and that's horrible. But they should have. I mean, that's the initiative you've got to take from this. You've got to, like Brian said, if he's in that yellow zone, he's out there. He's getting out. If you can get out, you need to get out. Even if you get out without a bug out bag, just get out the way of things. It's sad to say, but often in disasters, it's stubborn people that think I'm not going anywhere that suffer, right?
And they will end up going somewhere. The morgue.
Yeah, well, exactly. Magnesium, zinc, selenium boost testosterone by 40% in just a month. There you go. Good stuff. I have 96 cans of Pepsi Max Cherry in my cupboard. Want me to post in one?
Savage. Nobody likes that. Pepsi Max Cherry.
You've got to be original.
I think she's just bounded up the stairs. Look at this. Look. Service with a smile. Thank you, my little dollop of misery.
With a smile or with a glare.
Our passing comment was, I heard the comment about the car.
I'll speak to you later. Whiskey Jack J, I think Brian should tell a terrible joke at the end of every stream. Don't challenge
We're all
him.
terrible.
If that's the case, the stream would end 5 minutes in. Good news, Brian. B and M are doing free bentos for £2 now.
Yeah. Good news. S&M are doing it for free. You just take the empty cans and you make a. Anyway, that's a different thing. That's a different podcast. And that's how Mike get me demonetized.
Right, we're pretty much done. We've had some resistance towards the end there. Surely, Bob, I really do apologize if I've offended you, but surely you know what this channel's all about now. We're not making light of anyone's bad situation. We're making light of every situation. You know, even we're taking the mick out of me, and I've lost loads of stuff in a frigging unit. You know what I mean?
Which is genuinely funny.
Please don't take offense on behalf of somebody else. What I do want to do is plugs. I want to plug this first. The Scottish Prepper Meet is almost full, and I'm not joking. They've given us some extra space, but even that is almost full. I'm absolutely blown away by the amount of people that have signed up for pitches already. You can come for a single day of £15 or both days for £25, 27th to the 29th of June. It's Bush Reviews, Langholm, Dumfries and Galloway. All the details are on the site, and the link is on the community page. And, of course, we'll all be there and lots of stuff to do. So don't miss out. If you want to go, try not to put it off any longer because we will run out of space soon. You're going to see a big red sold-out banner. And, of course, 1%, we've started getting the donations in for Help for Heroes for my 232-mile cycle, and that is at the end of May. I might, if I don't survive the cycle, Brian's going to have to run the Prepper Meet, just so you know. But yeah, donations.
My running days are over.
Well, he will sit and dictate the Prepper Meet.
Sit and be a dick.
I'll post the link to that one in the chat now, and that's the Just Giving page for my Help for Heroes. I'm hoping we can smash our 1,500 ceiling that we did last time for a really good cause that was chosen by you guys. So there you go. And yes, Brian, because you requested it, I can't. I'm on the wrong thing. Hang on. Let's magically zip over to the fireside. Blue. And check out Miss One. There you go. Tel says it's too scary for me. It's too scary, but a soothing voice will guide you through them scary stories. Obviously, go and check out Brian's channel. I'm not going to ask him to pitch it. He does that on Sundays, and he does a terrible job. It's just Brian doing Brian shit on Brian's channel. And hopefully destroying some free bentos really soon.
I should have well, I would have had time this weekend, but I'm going to go away in the van on Friday for a couple of days, wherever I end up. And yeah, so I won't get much done.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Suburban Preppers, you can email me. You've got my email address. Anyone that else wants to email, it's ukurbanprepper@gmail.com. But yeah, just chuck me an email. If there's something I can help you with, I will. Brian's the man love his channel.
Can I just reread that?
No.
Brian's channel has no man love involved in it at all, right? I don't know what he's trying to advertise here, and I appreciate it, kinda, but the message is slightly confused.
Don't forget to subscribe to Brian's Man Love channel.
Yeah, thanks for that. Cheers, buddy.
It's not necessarily on YouTube. Oh my God, Full of Hope has just sent £50 to the Just Giving page for Help for Heroes. Thank you, Full of Hope. That is absolutely awesome. We're going to end it there, not because of any atmosphere killing, just because it's time to end it. And now I've got to whiz us back to the right place for the outro. We're back in the studio.
The magic of camera.
Would you like to say any final thoughts and goodbyes, Brian?
Just thanks for coming on. I mean, it takes time out of people's life, and it's appreciated that he's bothered to listen for an hour and a half of our innate dribblings. But anything that we say is meant in the best possible way. Nobody goes out their way to insult anybody or offend you, or you might not like, or well, he does that. I'm generally offensive anyway. I'm just an asshole that's evolved and get bigger and older and fatter. But there's no malice involved here. If there's light-hearted comments or ribbing when we talk to one another on the podcast, it's because me and Mike are comfortable doing that, and we're not laughing at MD's misfortune, right? Please don't ever take that away. That's my only message tonight. That has never ever happened on any of the podcasts. If that's what you believe to have happened, then that's your mistake.
And believe me, I will be throwing Frey Bentos tins at Brian's casket as it's driving down the road on his final journey.
It'll just be a round Pepsi can getting into the cremation.
Now I'm going to bury him with a Coke Zero.
Savage. See that? Now that's cruel and nasty. That sort of shit's not funny.
Got the last laugh now. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Round the fire, warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night.